Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you're listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 60.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. I'm here. Well, actually, a lot is going on, so we have a lot to talk about this week.
Lot to talk about.
Yeah, we just sat back and watched the Las Vegas Libertarian debate hosted by Penn Jillette on Glenn Beck's Blaze Network.
But we didn't blaze, though.
We didn't blaze. That's like, I'm going to change that rather soon. You guys are going to hear a bubbler hit.
Okay.
And so, you know, that's one thing that's great about this podcast. We do illegal shit, you know. So, we're talking about, we just watched the debate. We sat here in my living room and, you know, so I guess we all have feelings about this. And let's just go ahead and get right at it. You know, the main thing that concerned me about watching the debate was Gary Johnson would not answer Austin Peterson's question of should churches be forced to marry gay couples.
He kind of deflected it by saying pretty vaguely about how the laws they've been passing, specifically in North Carolina, that allow discrimination are, you know, he was saying that those are wrong. But when pressed on whether, I think the question was something along the lines of, do you think that churches should be forced to marry people or to do ceremonies or whatever it is to marry people?
Yeah.
He just completely dodged the question, and I know you find that extremely disappointing. I do as well. So, yeah, what do you have to say on that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, you know, I grew up in a family full of, you know, with a bunch of fundamentalist Christians, and you know. I don't believe that fundamentalist Christians should be able to use the state to enforce their whims on other people and to force other people how to live. But at the same time, I don't believe that other people should be able to force their whims on fundamentalist Christians.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, I believe in free association, you know.
Right.
That's really about it. I believe in free association. I believe in freedom. You know, and it's not like there's no difference between like religious freedom and regular freedom. It's everybody has fucking freedom. Yeah. You know, so and I believe in fucking religious freedom, just like I believe in every type of freedom, just like I believe in freedom for gay people to marry whomever they please. You know. And, you know, if you're going to have courthouses, if you're going to have a state performing marriage ceremonies in courthouses, you know, the state, you know, shouldn't be allowed to discriminate. But, you know, if you have a church and if you have freedom of religion, which, you know, there's a very good reason why we have freedom of religion, because, you know, when the founders started this country, they came from a place where in England, they had the Church of England, and you had the church was just directly infused with government, and it didn't lead to good things, you know. I think anytime you combine church and state, you know, it ends up, you know, bad for religion and bad for the state together, you know. So that's why I believe in religious freedom, and once again, I believe in all freedom.
Right. So, I mean, we didn't really get a clear answer from Gary on this, although the way he dodged it would lead you to think that he would support. He would not support the ability of churches to discriminate.
Yeah, and dude, I gotta say, man, like I know people that are like straight up fucking total socialist. Okay, I know people that are like, you know, we're libertarians. We like to use the word status probably more than we should, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I know total status that you know, total fucking socialists, total fucking burnheads, Green Party supporters that don't believe that churches should be forced to marry gay people.
Right.
So, but you know, Gary Johnson can't give me an answer either way.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I just want to know, because I mean, honestly, like I've been a Johnson supporter since 2012, I want a clear, direct answer to this question that Austin Peterson threw out there. I'm also a person that has said hashtag never AP, never Austin Peterson, multiple times. I probably coined the fucking phrase. And, honestly, this is making Austin Peterson look better to me, because because if Gary Johnson doesn't believe in free association, if Gary Johnson believes that churches should have to marry homosexuals if they don't believe in it, or churches should have to marry anybody, or government should tell churches what to believe. If Gary Johnson doesn't believe in religious freedom, he's not my guy, man. It's like, and you can say that Gary Johnson's a huge step in the right direction, but I would agree with you in a lot of ways, but that's just so anti-freedom. It's to me, it makes Gary Johnson like, a lesser of three evils, and that's not much better than a lesser of two. It seems like to me, if either he doesn't understand libertarianism or freedom or free association, or he doesn't really have an interest in it. It's one or the other. Which one is it?
Well, while I agree with that, if he became the nominee and he held that position, I still think I'm voting for him, because I'll vote for anybody that will get into office and end the war on drugs. Because aside from the military-industrial complex, I think that's the number one issue facing the country. And I think that just by ending the war on drugs in its entirety, you would solve so many problems. So many things would get better that I'd be willing to take even like a partial fascist, which is essentially what that is, just to have the war on drugs end. And while it would cause a lot of it would make me uncomfortable, but I still think I would have to do it, just from a purely pragmatic angle. I wouldn't go around saying like Gary Johnson's the shit, or he's an awesome libertarian or anything like that. But from a purely practical standpoint, I would still vote for the man.
What about in the Libertarian primary? Would you back a person who would you back him over Austin Peterson and McAfee?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough though, dude. I mean, because I gotta say, like, watching this debate, as douchey as Peterson is, if you just look at the content of his answers,
and this is what I've been saying all along.
He pretty much nailed it. Like,
I could never rag on Peterson's platform.
I mean, the only thing that
on Peterson's political platform, I can't rag on it.
Yeah.
Now, when he says that he doesn't go along with the NAP, I think that's a little fucking retarded. But at the same time...
But everything he's saying is in line with the NAP.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not in anarchy land yet, and we may never be there. Hopefully, one day we get to the point where we can be totally free.
Yeah.
But until we're there, it's kind of like irrelevant, like the whole, Peterson conversation.
Right.
It's, I mean, it seems like, he's a little more in line, was like, while I think that he's douchey, it's I don't know. I'm liking him more than Gary tonight. You know, I mean, as likable that I think Gary is, and I want Gary to be the candidate because I kind of feel like Gary could. I feel like Gary would do a better job. Grabbing disaffected Bernie supporters. Yeah,
and it also helps. It also helps that he just chose another former governor as his running mate. So I mean, it's a very like presidential, team.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
dude, Alexis, you've been quiet over there, dude.
What's up, man?
Dude, how do you feel about all this?
For one, basically, I didn't really like the format of this debate. Two, they didn't really allow, like, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, Matt, but I think Gary Johnson was responding to the question that was posed in regards to...
he didn't respond to Austin Peterson's question that was posed.
Right.
Even after Austin Peterson said, just answer the question,
Yeah, but... I don't know. I just didn't like...
he's scared of his fucking answer, dude.
Well, yeah, but I think...
You gotta fucking own it, dude. You gotta be libertarian and you gotta own it.
Yeah, I mean...
it's like he's not...
You gotta libertarian with your balls out,
to me, it sounds like he's not being libertarian and he's not owning it.
Well, I think again, I don't know, man. So, like, it just seems like maybe he just, by ignoring it, he's basically not giving Austin any credibility. Like, dude, I'm not even going to answer your question. Like, maybe we're looking too far into this. Maybe he's just like, nah, I don't want to get in the weeds on this. Like, I'm answering a specific question that was asked, that was posed to him, was about religious liberty. Like, basically, the guy who posed the question from the audience was, you know, an activist within the
QRSWXYZ
community. So, anyways, but so he was posing the question, like, what do you feel like about these laws? Do you think they're basically, it's allowing for legal discrimination? Like, you're basically allowing discrimination, and that's the other thing too, which is kind of disheartening too when it comes to Gary Johnson is like private property.
Aren't these laws like mandating legal discrimination? Because, you know, as far as I can see, like the laws in North Carolina, isn't it basically saying like, you know, the law is stating like essentially like if you have a penis, you can't go into the women's restroom, right?
Yeah,
but like, wasn't he? But there was a.
Whereas you know, I don't think these laws are mandating. I mean, I think these laws are mandating like discrimination. You know,
I think that's but that's the thing. I think that might have been what Gary was like commenting on. I think there was maybe a slight confusion there.
That too. Like, I think the way
and then Peterson
like
kind of like shifted it to a completely different question,
right?
And then it kind of caught him off guard.
And like Gary Johnson's like, look, I'm answering this question. You got douche McGoosh up here, Austin Peterson. That's like, you know, trying to like stir up some shit that wasn't even the question. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times where like Austin Peterson's chiming in, it's like, dude, like, I don't know. But then again, on the other hand, too, in this debate forum, Penn Jillette like really didn't like kind of intervene and was kind of like, yo, Austin, shut your mouth.
Yeah,
Here's
dude,
the question.
Penn should have guided this conversation
a little bit
with his cock.
Yeah,
you know?
kind of like guided it, kind of like what we're trying to do now is like, hey, you were saying this, you were saying that. The question was this. Based on that, like, it just, I don't know, man. It wasn't the great, like, honestly, like, I kind of zoned out during this whole debate.
Well, honestly,
like, the whole
I thought it
lightning round question,
I thought it was kind of weak because, like, right after that whole argument between Austin and Gary kind of took place, then for the next question, Penn Jillette answered it, and he's like, "Now for this question too, you would not be allowed to refer to the other candidates in your answer." So it was like right then he was going after. You know, the candidates, like I feel like that was kind of like protectionary for Gary Johnson.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because he is the front runner, right?
Yeah,
and of course he's a front runner by a very large margin from what I can estimate. So you know it's in you know if for Austin and McAfee to run the best campaign, they're going to want to throw Gary Johnson's name out there to kind of like attack him and show how they're better, right? Because, you know, like they're the underdogs, so that would be what's strategic for them. And this is what you see in like a Republican debate or a Democratic debate. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, you know, there's like less conversation, and I feel like there was probably like 7 or 8 questions in a row, which like, would you legalize marijuana? It was like fucking no brainers, you know?
Yeah, dude. It's like, come on, this is a libertarian debate. No shit. Like, here comes the softball.
It's everybody's like judged on their like creative ability to answer this softball question. You know,
maybe the funniest,
like the most dim-wittedly. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why maybe I kind of zoned out like the last segment or even before then, because
I mean,
I was kind of like, dude, you're preaching to the fucking choir. I know this shit, but how are you going to address, like, how are you going to be pragmatic, or how are you going to like bring this to an end? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it would have been better to get into actual
like
policy. Like, okay, you want to end the war on drugs, but how are you going to do it?
What,
I mean,
are you doing it at the federal level?
Do you just
like,
do you
allow the states? Like,
yeah, do you just completely disband the DEA first day? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, that's the thing too.
I would have been interested to know, because yeah, I mean, I 100% agree that it needs to happen, but I want to know how you're going to do it.
I just think
the same as it's like when Bernie says that he wants to have free education. It's like, how are you going to do free education, Bernie?
Yeah,
and maybe he's answered that.
Or even or just like follow up, like allowing them to expand on their answers. Like, one of them was like, what 3 federal departments would you eliminate? And
Yeah, there was almost no like expansion.
Yeah, it's like no shit. Like, that's a fucking no-brainer. Like, eliminate all the ABC organizations. You know, like get rid of all of them. But
why? Which ones are the?
But why is those three so important to
right.
you as a candidate, and why? What three and why? Or like just like it was like this was like fucking junior high fucking who wants to be class president debate type shit. Like,
and it's like why do you need fucking Carrot Top asking questions?
Yeah, like you had all these dumb like fucking Carrot Top. Like, dude, like what? Like who the fuck is that? Like I don't know.
It would have been nice to hear more people like Lawrence Krauss, the
more like
astrophysicist or whatever.
Yeah, it's Glenn Beck. I mean, it's the fucking Blaze. I mean, he probably, I would have much rather had like Pendulette and then have like, here's a question by Tom Woods. Here's a question by like, you know what I'm saying? Like prominent libertarians, not like, hey, this is Dee Snider from the band Twisted Sister. Like, what the fuck? Like, if there was a game like who's alive or dead, I'd be like,
don't touch the mic, dude. It's gonna.
I'd be like, Dee Snider, he's still alive? I thought he died. Like, I don't know. I mean, who cares? Like, it's like, who the fuck are these people?
Well, I don't even know that it's necessarily who's the people that they get, but it's people that can articulate like good questions.
That's that too. The questions were,
but like, someone like Tom Woods, who's like, a libertarian through and through, could come up with something that's a hardball question that might like separate the libertarians from the fucking status. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or just like softball stuff. It's like. They were just softball questions, and I just feel as though, like, I don't know, man. I was just kind of bored with it. I really got bored with the debate, to be honest. I zoned out.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty disappointing. Yeah.
I mean, I really don't have. I don't know. Like, I just don't think it was that great. Like,
I don't know. I mean, honestly, dude, like, I want some clarity, man. Like, with Johnson.
Me too.
That really does bother me.
But I feel as though the format, the debate, and just the overall didn't allow for clarity on these complex issues. Or what?
I'm trying.
They're really not complex, but how would you? I don't know. It's just there really wasn't much. They didn't allow them to discuss. They didn't allow them to like really get into it. I don't know.
I'm trying to think because I listened to the whole. So Gary Johnson was on the Joe Rogan Experience.
That was great,
and he did like 2.5 hours on there. And I don't recall.
Actually, I believe it was 3 hours, wasn't it?
No, it got to 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was only supposed to be 2, but they went over, which is awesome. But I mean that was awesome. But I don't think they touched on the anything religious freedom wise that I can recall. I mean, they touched on like everything else, transgender bathrooms, all that shit.
I thought honestly, I listened to I believe like 70% of that. I don't believe I finished it.
Don't touch the mic stand; it'll go through on the mic.
Okay, so. So like I said, I listened to like probably like 70% of the Joe Rogan interview with Johnson. And the thing that I liked the best was Joe Rogan was doing the common thing of criticizing private prisons. And but what I liked was when Johnson was, Joe Rogan was saying, well, private prisons, they're in it to make money. So and they're going to want to keep doors full so they make money. But it's like, the public prisons do the same thing. And Gary Johnson was quick to point that out.
Yeah. Well, he was like all about not only do we need to close private prisons, but we need to also close an equal amount of public prisons.
Well, I think, and also Gary's point was, when they brought in the private prisons, they could do everything the public prisons could do at like 2/3 the fucking price.
Right,
yeah. And Gary was just quick to point out, when we criticize private prisons, it's basically like, the public prisons still have like prison guard unions who want to maintain the war on drugs so they can keep their jobs and can keep so it's not like public all of a sudden makes these people angels.
Yeah. And what Gary didn't exactly say, but what I was thinking I would have said in that spot was, it's not necessarily the prisons that are the issue, but it's the lawmakers. And so if you can. And yeah, I mean, like he was saying, like the prison guard unions will lobby to maintain, the illegality of marijuana, so that they can continue to throw marijuana users in prison. But it's like, let's just have a system of law that doesn't allow that. Let's have a system of law that recognizes, individual liberty, and then you don't have to worry about, people ending up in prison that don't belong in prison. You'll just have your actual criminals that steal and murder and rape and the fraud, and then you're fine. Then you don't have to worry about private or public prisons because everyone in there, deserves. Then there's an argument to say that prisons prisons in itself is a concept that doesn't make sense, but we're obviously not at that point. But you get what I'm saying, though. Like, it's not even has nothing to do with the private nature of the prison, because who's it's the government that sends people to prison. So fix that and don't worry about whether it's privatized or who owns it. Like, let's just stop sending people there that don't need to be there.
Word.
So, anything else you want to say on the debate?
That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, McAfee was doing the fucking Coke no swipe all the time.
Yeah, totally, dude. It's like we could have a drinking game, drink every time McAfee does the Coke swipe, dude.
We should do that. Dude, let's just get Coke and do like
a Coke game. Yeah,
a snort every time he does it.
Yeah, man. It's the thing with McAfee. It's like, he's giving some of the best answers. Like I feel like the guy rocks, but at the same time, it's like, I just kind of doubt. I doubt his sincerity, even though like a lot of times he's giving the best answers, and it's like, there was a point where like this election season where I was like falling in love with McAfee. I had such a great man crush.
You have a McAfee boner?
I had a huge Liberty bone. So, it's like just thinking about McAfee. The thing that I just go back to is like, when he initially decided to run for president, he announced that he was going to run under the fucking Cyber Party. He's going to start his own party, the Cyber Party, right? And, it's like the thing that I don't get is, if you identify as a libertarian, why wouldn't you have just decided to run as a libertarian right off the bat? Why wouldn't that be the first party that comes to mind? So,
well,
yeah.
Maybe because he thought that Gary Johnson was a sure thing.
Why would you think that?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, I pretty much assumed like, okay, if Gary Johnson throws his hat into the ring this year, I don't see anybody else beating him.
Well,
I mean, he did fairly well last time considering, and it can only really go up from there. I don't know. That's just. Maybe. I'm just offering a possibility.
I don't know. I mean,
it was pre-Austin Peterson too.
Or I don't know. Or maybe he's really fucking dumb because how are you going to start a political party and get ballot access in all 50 states?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm going to start a new. It sounds like when he first announced, he was just talking out of his ass. Think about it. Okay, I'm announcing the Cyber Party. It's like, really? I mean, where the fuck are you gonna? How the fuck are you gonna do this?
Yeah.
I mean, this fucking. Maybe he was just high as fuck.
I just want cyber.
He was high as fuck when he was talking about the Cyber Party, and then he sobered off for like 5 minutes, and he decided that was going to be impossible to get ballot access in 50 states and start a political party. You know, so I don't know. I mean, it's well, in a lot of ways I like him. Plus, he's been pretty flaky this whole election cycle because he's actually backed out of a number of engagements that he agreed to, thus kind of throwing things off. It just seems like how serious is he really taking this whole president thing anyways.
He did come out with some awesome campaign videos though.
No, yeah, he did. They rocked, man.
Yeah,
they definitely rocked. I got to say, I'm still curious about John McAfee. He's an interesting guy. It's been entertaining watching him, but I'm just not sold that he's the best person.
I think he has a couple issues in his wheelhouse. Mainly, on the cybersecurity side, the privacy aspect on that side, and a few other issues. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's very well versed on all
at the same time, he seems a little more well versed than Gary Johnson. When Gary Johnson can't answer the fucking.
That's true. I mean, he is direct and he does answer questions when asked. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think overall this whole debate format, I just didn't like it. The whole intro thing. I don't know.
I mean, personally, I expected better from Penn Jillette, and also, what's up with the whole in between commercial breaks, Penn Jillette's just talking about Glenn Beck. It's like, really, what does it have to do with anything? Why do we need to hear about Glenn
Blaze,
Beck?
Man.
Yeah, it's like his network, but what is he got of his network, dude?
Yeah. I mean, it was poor production quality too.
You know, if you watch like an ABC debate, you know, they're not going to be talking about the god of ABC. You know,
Nah.
it's basically it's like fucking. It's a
They're
little
not talking about Mr.
It's like
ABC.
self-promotion.
little
now.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's. Yeah, I don't know. The whole lightning round, it was just weak sauce. I don't know. It was just weak. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I like the Stossel debate better.
It's like lightning round.
Yeah, I like the Stossel debate better.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it should just be.
I think
you
they should
ask
have.
a
I think
question.
they should have like a libertarian debate running man, dude. It's like
Because I think like Stossel asked like the questions that were kind of like the typical like he was being devil's advocate on many of issues and trying to like have them explain it and articulate.
Yeah, exactly.
And try
Made a little
where
more
Penn
sense.
Jillette's just like, all right, we're on drugs. You're for it or against it? Oh, you're against it? Oh, okay, cool. Libertarian debate. Like no shit.
it's
and
I honestly don't want to blame Penn Jillette for that too.
No.
Like I'm guessing somebody else wrote it, and
And it's probably the Blaze too, because they don't know what the fuck a libertarian is. The Blaze is just.
well, I
Glenn
don't know.
Beck just does anything, dude. I can't stand that guy. He
Yeah.
does anything and everything just to stay relevant.
Yeah,
like, dude, I
and-
remember him on headline news. He was cheering for the bailouts.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was all like, when he had his stupid little show, and then he goes to Fox News, and then he's like, Tea Party guy. and then
Exactly.
he just jumps in front of every fucking parade.
I lose respect for Penn Jillette for being his friend.
Well, I mean,
he might be.
I don't know. Maybe he's like cool on a personal level. I mean, I don't know. I mean, dude, like I'm kind of amazed that those two get along so well together. So I don't know. But it was, to me, it was a little suspicious because, like you were saying, Glenn Beck was like the fucking Tea Party guy when he was on Fox News, and then as soon as he gets fired from Fox News or whatever and leaves, like then he's like identifies as libertarian. It's why? I wonder why. Because there's so
Yeah.
many libertarians on the fucking internet.
Yeah, he's like Tea Party
could
guy,
probably-
and he's like,
yeah.
I'm for the Constitution and this and that and blah blah blah. And then he had Ron Paul running, and then he was, he would find something to not support Ron Paul, and then you're right. He leaves Fox News, and now it's like, oh, how can I get my Blaze network? Nobody likes Trump right now. There's a lot of disenfranchised Republicans. I want to be the one that they turn to for all the answers. Like, I can't stand Glenn Beck. I never liked him on Fox News, mainly because it's like, from personal experience, like my godmother and my godparents and like they were like so into Glenn Beck, and they were just like, oh wow, he's talking to the Federal Reserve and this and that and blah blah blah. It's like Anne Marie, we were talking about this shit
Yeah, I mean,
for
it's
years. It like validated, like, basically in their minds, like, oh, like myself and like my parents and my brother, like, we're not that crazy. It's like, oh, Glenn Beck is talking about it, so all those years that no, it's like he's like, I don't know, he just hijacks things. He just jumps in front of parades. It's like, follow me, folks. I just don't like him. He's just not genuine. Anyway.
But I mean, don't all the TV personalities do that shit?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Like,
Unless except for like John Stossel.
yeah, like, he's been
Or the
consistent
judge.
his whole
but like,
career.
look
And then
at
the
even
judge,
like Alex Jones. Like,
Yeah.
he's like cheerleading Trump now.
I think he's still. Yeah, I mean, he's still. I don't know if it's as hard as it was before, but I mean, he's still posting like a lot of Trump content, like on this site. Yeah.
I mean, for Alex, I think he realized early on that Trump was getting pretty big, and he was going to ride this wave of like fucking hits on his website,
Right.
Yeah.
and views on his YouTube and whatever, So I think it was kind of his way of growing and earning more revenue, probably.
Yeah.
Well, and Stefan Molyneux did this exact same thing.
Yep.
There was like a picture I saw of like screenshots of like all his pro-Trump videos. Dude, there's like 50 of them, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But that's the thing.
It's like,
man.
and then how many pro Ron Paul videos do you think he had?
No,
Right.
exactly.
Zero.
He seemed to be
Like, what a douchebag, man.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
seriously like over that guy, like 100%.
Yeah. I wouldn't say. I mean,
Like the peaceful parenting stuff, and just like the pure, what's the big one that he had?
did he come out on like against tattoos and said it's like he said something like ridiculous? And I'm like, dude, if you're really for the individual, you should, like what the fuck
Well,
is
no,
this?
because
Like,
he gets into like his like pseudo psychological bullshit where he's like, oh yeah, if you get tattoos, you're really just expressing, you were like abused as a child or whatever. It's like, dude, what?
yeah,
Like just because you want to put some ink on your body that looks cool and like has some meaning to you, like you're an abused individual,
right? Right. Yeah,
you're making a whole bunch of leaps that aren't backed up by any science at all.
It's just like a lot of those, Libertarians or just anybody in the media.
It's they start off and they're awesome. Like his early stuff, like what's the big one? It was like the bomb in the brain is like the one about like peaceful parenting.
Okay.
Which is awesome. And then there's the one that's just talks about like statism is slavery or something like that,
The story of your enslavement.
The story of your enslavement.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
But
that's
then he started to get into like this weird, like sort of like misogynistic shit, and then like all the pro-Trump shit, and like the more pseudo-psychological stuff about tattoos and just like weird shit like that. You're just like, dude, just.
And you wonder if they actually believe the shit, or they just do it just to garner more attention,
Well, yeah, I mean that's his like only source of income. So
yeah,
it's like.
So you wonder if are they really genuine? Like,
yeah,
But
then you have people like Tom Woods who can make money and still be like
genuine.
Straight up libertarian, a genuine person. Like I don't see Tom Woods ever like contradicting himself in that, at least in that sense.
Oh yeah, totally, man. It's I don't know. Like I keep thinking time and time again, as I see all these politicians that I'm just like, honestly, with like the libertarian candidates, I'm like, really, is this the best that we can do? Like I feel like as much as I like Johnson in so many fucking ways, and I don't know. It's like for me, this freedom of association thing is a big. I just want to know what the fuck he believes. What the fuck he's gonna do.
Yeah,
it could be one of those things too. Maybe he just doesn't want to get in the weeds on said issues. Like look, like I mean the whole transgender bathroom thing. I mean it's just fucking ridiculous. Like this issue just came out of nowhere. Like a distractive issue, and maybe he just doesn't want to get like.
Well, he answered that pretty clearly on the podcast. On the Joe Rogan. Yeah, he was like, we've had transgender people.
Right.
For years, like
it's the same thing.
Why do we all of a sudden?
Same thing that I say.
Yeah, it's like why does this suddenly have to be an issue? And
exactly. So maybe
why do we need to start?
Like certain issues, maybe he just doesn't want to get in the weeds in, like because it's like.
Yeah, but is it really to kind of play devil's advocate or status advocate?
Status advocate.
Is it getting in the weeds to talk about religious freedom? Is that a weedy issue? I mean, that's a pretty important issue.
I mean, it is, but I mean, at the same token, I think
eat your Wheaties.
It's I think it's like a you get a lot of like every election cycle you have these, I wouldn't say fictitious issues, but issues that are blown out of proportion, and I think maybe he's just trying to focus on certain key issues to bring as many people in and to then instead of starting out with like a lot of these dicey issues, divisive, exactly, like political football issues, like just I don't know. That's kind of maybe, I don't know, that's the only thing I could say where in defense of him not answering these questions, like I don't want to get in all this shit,
Yeah, and the question wasn't asked by Penn Jillette, the question was asked by Awesome Peterson, so he's not obligated to answer the question.
Exactly, like
at least in this format,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean,
should he answer it? Yeah, but
yeah,
is he obligated to? I mean, I don't know. Maybe not.
That could be it too, because then it's just like it's also part of the debate stage. Do you really want to answer Austin Peterson's question, or just going to ignore him? Like,
yeah, you're going to give him
credibility.
But I got to know.
I got to know.
I got to know, Alexis.
So,
did you bring the fucking
did you guys see like
documents?
Kokesh was in the crowd?
Yeah, dude.
Was he?
Oh wow.
Was he?
Wow.
Oh wowzer!
I missed it.
Yeah, but he also recently came out endorsing McAfee.
Yeah, he did come out, and yeah. So yeah, he came out actually after that convention. He had a huge smile on his face as usual, and he was endorsing John McAfee.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
It's funny because like they start off doing this video, and then like after a few minutes of it, like you can see somebody's like talking to John McAfee, and right in the middle of the video, McAfee's like waves bye to Kokesh, like, oh, fuck off. And then Kokesh just kept talking. Like, did you remember that where McAfee just like walked off the video kind of?
I didn't watch the video.
Yeah. It wasn't like he was mad or anything. It was just basically like, I think that was just kind of rude not to finish the video with Kokesh. So
Yeah.
So wait, it was like Kokesh and him were being interviewed together?
no, well, Kokesh was interviewing McAfee for one of his YouTube videos.
Oh. And then
Yeah.
McAfee just like walked off?
Well, I mean, you'd have to watch it because it was like they seemed to be mostly done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. He seemed to kind of brush it off and not waiting until it was really over. I don't know.
Not
It was-
really taking him seriously.
Yeah. That's
I wonder if he knew who
got
Kokesh was.
But I don't know. I mean, how seriously can you take it? Because I mean, in 2012, wasn't Kokesh kind of like the no voting thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, he wasn't like anti Ron Paul, but he was also, like principled non-voter, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I've said shit like
I mean,
that
like,
before.
is
so I can't hold it against him.
McAfee really that inspired? I mean, I'm sorry, a little blazed. So, is Kokesh really that inspired by, or that much more inspired by John McAfee than Ron Paul?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
What's the thing?
But maybe
I don't
he's
know.
changed. Maybe he's changed his
Yeah,
tune on
maybe
voting.
he has flip flopped on voting.
But
No, I'm just fucking around.
yeah, I mean, is it?
No.
I mean, I'm kind of flip flopping. I mean, I'm sort of thinking more. I'm thinking it might actually be worth voting for the Libertarian nominee. Because I feel like this year it actually might matter. Like it actually
No, I mean,
might make a difference to, not necessarily that we're gonna fix the world through government, but just in the same sense that Ron Paul running for president opened people's eyes to libertarianism. If you have a libertarian nominee get 30% of the vote, I mean that's definitely going
30% of the vote, they could become president, right?
or whatever.
Or, like no, I think it's like
I mean-
in a three-way race, I guess it would have to be about like 35.
Well, it all depends on the electoral college. It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
a popular vote thing. But
you
without getting
know,
into
yeah,
that,
if they did,
Can we talk
they got
electrical-
a huge
electoral
chunk of
college?
the
Let's talk
popular
about
vote,
that.
that would be amazing.
yeah. And I'm saying, like, if that happens, it's more of a philosophical win because then those ideas get out there. So, I am kind of flip-flopping because I've said on the podcast before, not really explicitly, but I've argued against voting before. But
I mean, I'll argue against it too. Playing in a devil's advocate. But I mean, I've consistently held the position, that even while voting, I don't believe it to be the most important thing that you can do. I think it's obviously not the most important thing that you can do. I think there's a million other more important things probably, but it is one thing that you can do, and you can do it rather easily. So I'm for it.
Yeah.
I'm for it. Why would you not take this one avenue? You can do all those other avenues as
Yeah.
well.
But then,
people always say, "But I believe in agorism." Okay, you can do that too.
yeah, but then there's the argument that by voting you are endorsing the system. But I don't know. I used to think that, but
Yeah,
then it's like
whatever.
Yeah, like says who? Like if I say I don't endorse the system, but I'm going to manipulate the system and use the system to my advantage, that's completely different. Like there's nothing necessarily. There's nothing, that voting necessarily says that, like, oh yeah, like by casting this vote, I endorse my slavers. No, what I'm doing is I'm hijacking your system of power or whatever, but I'm using it to lessen your power. It's like if you throw a punch at me, I can get out of the way of the punch, or I can use that punch to throw you off balance and knock you to the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely been kind of changing my tune on that account lately.
I understand both sides of it. I just think you can participate in agorism. You can live as free as you want, and there's still headway to be made through politics. I think Ron Paul has proven that, and I feel like 2016 is a big opportunity for the Libertarians if they can play their cards right.
I will say, though, that voting for a Republican or a Democrat, unless it's like Ron Paul, then you are just endorsing the system because you're not going to get any. You're not going to get anywhere doing that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, as far as voting for a Republican or a Democrat, I feel like I would have to be demonstrated that one is really that much worse than the other. And I mean, I think they're both about as bad, in just different ways, and a lot of times even the same ways. So it's just whatever. I just don't think it's going to change shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So but by merely not voting, you're just not even getting recorded. And you can write in Ron Paul and you're not really getting recorded either. But if you can vote for a third party who's on the ballot, your vote is actually getting counted. And with the Libertarian Party, your vote is getting counted in 50 states. So I feel like I feel like that sends out a clear message of dissent.
Yeah. A clear message of dissent and a clear opposition to the status quo.
Yes.
Yeah. We pretty much exhausted our list here.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, that was we started off late tonight, anyways. So yeah, I think we're about done for tonight. And until next time, live free.
The blood that is shed, drenching the flags of the tax bombs in red. Wasn't by a few at the expense of the many. Sold to the gods and the death machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy, you can put freedom in gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you. And I believe that we have the power, have the power. I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power, break the power. Society owes individuals nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. Once a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence of the state becomes obsolete.